That's right, Carol Danvers at one point managed to become Captain America. This has actually happened in more than one reality, but for this video we're actually going to focus on the version of Carol Cap that comes from the Venomverse. She appears as Captain America in Venomverse War Stories and hails from the same reality as Venom Rocket, Earth 18197. In the story she appears in, Captain America Carol Danvers and Venom Rocket battle it out as Rocket is looking to cash in on a bounty for the Kree, who basically want Carol Danvers. Venom Rocket and Captain America seem pretty evenly matched here, but in the end, Rocket does not manage to capture Carol, and Carol seemingly ends up the victor of this match, though undoubtedly left with a big mess to clean up as the result of their destructive battle. Carol Danvers as Captain America still seemingly possesses some version of her Kree physiology and 616 power set here, making her a pretty powerful alternate version of Captain America, to be honest. I guess the other alternate name you could give to Carol Danvers Cap is Cap, because she's also Captain Marvel, and then so if she's Captain America, she's like a double cap. This version of Captain America comes from the Exile series, where he becomes King of the Vampires in the alternate reality of Earth 3931 during World War II as a result of Baron Blood. Vampire Cap is definitely not a good dude here, likely the most evil of all the monstrous Captain Americas that we see in the multiverse. This version of Captain America has its own sinister version of the Avengers and Thralls, who he enlists and forces to fight for him. However, he still proves to be no match for the Exiles, who end up defeating him and removing his head from his body here in the end, as the Exiles do. This version of Cap comes to us from the Marvel Zombies reality of Earth 2149. So many versions of Cap that are just monsters. Instead of being known as Captain America in this reality, he was actually originally known as Colonel America. Colonel America finds himself turned into a zombie in the initial fight against the Sentry here, near the beginning of this story. From there, his story gets pretty crazy. He is the one responsible for infecting Spider-Man, Peter Parker, with the virus. He also helps to take down Magneto, the Silver Surfer, and Galactus, and is one of the zombies who ends up receiving the power cosmic. He does end up defeated by the horrific zombified Red Skull though, who scoops out his brains. But with his brain not being consumed, as he, was also undead, and the undead apparently taste terrible to other zombies, he would later end up having his brain implanted in the body of Black Panther's deceased son in the future, T'Challa. Yeah, Marvel Zombies, it gets pretty weird. Soldier Supreme is what you get when you combine the mystical powerhouse of Doctor Strange with the all-American war hero Captain America. The result is a character who happens to be tough, strong, fast, and a gifted fighter while also possessing tons of mystical knowledge and ability. Soldier Supreme hails from Warp World, the reality created by Gamora when she folded the universe in half using the power of the Infinity Stones. Here, Steve Rogers participated in the Super Soldier program, which was really a front for something less scientific and more magical in nature. Conducting a series of rituals, Dr. Morgan Erskine transformed Steven Rogers into the Soldier Supreme. Super Soldier hails from the Amalgam universe, stories and characters created using the combined lore of DC Comics' main roster of superheroes and villains, and Marvel Comics' main roster of superheroes and villains. Super Soldier himself is an alternate version created by combining the heroes Captain America from Marvel and Superman from DC. Put those together and you get Clark Kent. Clark Kent ended up in the Super Soldier program during World War II, which used alien DNA taken from a corpse that was discovered to alter Clark Kent permanently, granting him superhuman powers. He has the combined power set of both Cap and Supes, making him pretty crazy powerful, although he also comes with his own highly dangerous villain as well, the Green Skull, and his very own weakness to the ore known as Green K. Not an alternate version of Steve Rogers, but an alternate version of Red Skull, who beat Rogers and took to wearing his suit often enough around his newly redecorated Oval Office. This alternate version of Red Skull comes from the Old Man Logan universe, where Red Skull ends up appointing himself the new president of the United States, which he of course renames America with a K. Red Skull ends up not just defeating Captain America, but almost all of the superhero community when he manages to rally together an impossible to defeat force of supervillains who basically coordinate their attack on the nation. Being that he's Red Skull, he's probably one of the most evil versions of Captain America that we've ever seen, although like I said, he's not really a full Cap alternate really, but he's the closest, albeit most twisted version we have sadly after Cap dies in the Old Man Logan universe, and you know, it's a pretty cool one to have because just seeing him in the suit and everything, it's a vibe. It's a messed up vibe, but it's a vibe. Some folks may know Capwolf, sure, but how many know the version of him that is stuck as Capwolf? For many, Capwolf is more of a time in Steven Rogers' life. For Capwolf of Earth 666 though, that's his everyday. On Earth 666, the Earth is exclusively inhabited by monsters, supernatural beings, or undead. The normal average living person is not welcome in this reality. Capwolf, for his part, has been a part of a few different teams, but has still only made a handful of appearances. He has appeared as a member of the Multiversal Howling Commandos and Multiversal Avengers team, and he has also been a member of his Earth's own Freaky Avengers team, which of course, because their Earth has like all monsters and undead, that Avengers team is all monsters and undead. An evil clone with the mind of Red Skull. To be honest, this has happened multiple times in the comics, where Red Skull has ended up having his consciousness, personality, or memories put into a clone of Steve Rogers. It's happened both in the main continuity and in alternate universes. It's just a thing that happens, and people think it's interesting, so we keep doing it. In issue number 350 of Captain America, the Red Skull in Steve Rogers' clone body ends up being the mastermind behind the whole Jonathan Walker, aka US agent and commission issue that happened around that time. Red Skull's plan this time around in Steve Rogers' clone body is to discard his previous ideologies and actually use America's capitalist system to dismantle the democracy of the nation and destroy it. It doesn't work out in the end, and the issue actually ends up with him facing off against both John Walker and the Captain, and becoming deformed once more by the red dust of death. We can't let Red Skull win, unless it's an alternate reality. Then maybe. In the Age of X universe, the mutant population becomes feared after an explosion that looks identical to the Phoenix leveled Albany. As a result, mutants were hunted, rounded up, and disposed of. In response to this, the mutant Magneto uses his powers to take several buildings from New York and form his own Fortress X, a sort of safe haven for all mutant kind to flock to, and for them to like kind of have a base that they can defend to protect themselves. This led to the creation of a team of non-mutant heroes by General Frank Castle, who were of course led by Captain America to hunt down this resistance of mutants. The team was made up of Captain America, Ghost Rider, who was killed before the actual assault on Fortress X happened, the Hulk, Invisible Woman, this universe's Jessica Drew, known by the codename Redback, and Iron Man, aka Steel Corpse. While the team murdered a lot of mutants, Cap eventually was persuaded to change sides and fight instead to defend the mutants after realizing the error of his ways when he took out Mystique, who it turned out had been actually just attempting to defend mutant children. I mean, yeah. Obviously Cap's gonna be like, wait a minute, maybe I'm fighting on the wrong side here. This version of Steve Rogers is the leader of the Defenders, the last standing heroic group against Apocalypse and his horsemen who have seized control of Earth and turned it into a wasteland of death, following the demise of both Magneto and Professor Xavier. This version of Cap looks like a tank, is much more determined and grim, and fights with Wolverine at his side, armed with a chipped shield and Thor's hammer in what appears to be a scaled armor version of his suit, and he hails from What If? X-Men Age of Apocalypse. That's about it. I'm your host Amanda McKnight. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.